went from reading 10 books in the month of June to only 3 in the month of July. I started multiple books that were on my July TBR, got maybe 10 pages in, couldn't get any farther, and I don't know why, because it's like I wanted to be reading, I wanted to be consuming things, I just couldn't make myself. With that being said, I have a little bit of a plan of action in terms of getting out of this like slumpy mindset and trying to get back into the swing of wanting to read all the time. So I wrote down 3 plans of attack basically, and I have already begun the first one. So I don't know how this video is going to play out. I don't know exactly what all it's going to require to get me out of this. Who knows? Maybe after plan of action number 1, maybe I'll already feel perfectly fine and back to normal. So just in case, I'm gonna tell you the other 2 now, because who knows what this video is gonna be, not me. Anyways, my first attempt, my first pathway to ending this slump is reading something known to be very, very bingeable. Very fast-paced, very engaging. So I started It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I feel like I've been hearing about this book for years. Like, when was it really having its heyday? Like 2019 maybe? When did this come out? 2016. Like, I just feel like she's been around, she's done her time, and now the movie for this book is coming out next weekend. And one of my best friends actually sent this to me. One of my best friends read it and said it was not what she expected. She didn't really like it. Like, it made her feel a little bit icky, but she wanted me to read it and hear my opinion on it. And from everyone else that I've heard about it, in terms of like people that I think I share a reading taste with, I think it will be a quick read. I'm not sure that me and Colleen Hoover are gonna be besties. Like, I don't think that this is going to spark a love for her and her writing and make me want to read other ones. I think this is gonna be maybe a bit of a one and done situation, but I also could be eating my words. We'll see. I don't know. I've always been hesitant to read a Colleen Hoover book just because I really don't know that she's gonna be my cup of tea. But I am 30 pages into this as of last night, and I was so tired, otherwise I would have kept reading. But this definitely feels like the kind of thing that I could wipe out pretty quickly. It's 370 pages, but like I said, fast-paced, bingeable. I think this is gonna be a good way to start off the ending the reading slump video, or at least I hope it will. If you're unfamiliar with what this book is, I think it is half romance, half woman possibly gets trapped in an abusive relationship. This is one that I've heard check trigger warnings for, and that's really the extent of what I know. I know there's a lot of out-of-pocket stuff in here, according to my friend that read 300 pages and then DNF'd. So I don't know. I'm really curious. Also dreading it a little bit, but also excited because I think it'll be one that I'll be able to knock out very quickly. So we love that. And then I have 2 other plans of attack if that does not work. Plan of attack number 2 is to pick up the next book in a series that I really like and that I find very easy to read. So I have a couple things in mind. And then plan of action number 3 is actually going to a bookstore, finding a book that I'm like, I want to read this right now, and then starting it immediately, because I have gotten into the habit of buying books that I'm like, oh, I want to read this eventually. And now I have 82 books on my TBR cart. It's gone up. It's gone up since I did my entire physical TBR video. So this is like, I always get so excited about new books, but I feel like I want to read them in that moment, and then the moment sometimes passes and then I'm less inclined to pick them up afterwards. So I want to go to a store, buy a book, and start it. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. These are not in order. It just happened that I started this one first. So I'm doing plan of action number 1, and then the next 2 are interchangeable. We'll just have to see how things shake out. All I know is I have a Barnes & Noble gift card, so I'll probably be doing number 3 at some point in this video, hopefully. Anyways, with that being said, I'm going to start with this. I think I'm gonna have time this afternoon to do some binging. I'm just doing laundry and hanging out at my apartment, so I think this is on the docket, but I will keep you guys posted when I have thoughts, if I have thoughts, and yeah. Okay, talk to you later. Colleen Hoover books, and I don't know if it's just in a few of them or if it's in all of them, I don't know, but Ellen DeGeneres. I know there's a lot of Ellen DeGeneres in this book specifically, and I just got to the introduction to the first Our Girl Writes Diary entries addressed to Ellen DeGeneres. Yeah. I can't with it being Ellen. I can't. So it's the next day, and I did read a decent amount yesterday, like last night, and then I came home from work a little bit early today because I went in a little bit early, and I came into my room and I have to edit a YouTube video today. Like I have no choice but to edit a video today. But I was feeling very run down from my day at work, so I was like, let me just read a little bit of this book, just like reset before I start editing. I'm on page 274. I'm locked in. This was a good choice for something bingeable. Now, am I loving the writing style? No, not particularly. There's been several lines of dialogue and just like inner thoughts and also just like the Ellen stuff that I'm finding a bit off-putting, but the story has me. Like I'm locked in. I need to know how this is gonna play out. It's definitely a lot more intense. It's a very intense read. It's not a silly goofy one, I wouldn't say, but it's just like an interesting juxtaposition because a lot of the elements of it are giving silly, goofy, quirky, but then obviously there is an overarching deep theme about what it's like to be in an abusive relationship and be able to leave an abusive relationship. So definitely very heavy topics, but somehow the writing style makes it feel, at least where I'm at right now, like it's not so much. I don't know, it's very interesting. I don't know how I'm gonna end up feeling when this is all said and done, but I just had to update because I read so much more of this than I thought I was going to in the last 24 hours, which is a good thing because obviously in trying to end a slump, I want to be able to sit down and binge something and get in the mood to read, which is really working, clearly. I have a feeling that I might sit here and finish because I'm on 274 and I think there are 350 something pages, so like I might go ahead and finish this now. Just had to let you know. If I end up crying, which I feel like I might, I will let you know. Wait, not the middle name. I can't. Not the middle name. The end. The epilogue was sweet. I'm going to read the author's note and then at some point I will give you guys my final thoughts. But initial gut instinct is 3 stars, but I'll report back. Okay. Hello. It's the next day. And as you saw, I finished It Ends With Us, my first Colleen Hoover book. And I think I'm sticking with my 3-star rating. However, that being said, this was genuinely exactly what I needed. I needed something that was so bingeable, so fast-paced, made me want to sit down and binge it. Like I binged the last, I think, 100 pages yesterday. And as soon as I finished it, I was like, okay, what's next? What am I reading next? Which I haven't felt basically the entire month of July. So we love that. Was I the biggest fan of the writing style? No. Like I said, there were quite a few things that kind of cringed me out, took me out of the story, made me feel a bit removed from the emotional depth of the themes that Miss Coho was going for with this book. However, with that being said, I can see the merit in this in terms of like, I can 100% see how people would resonate with this story and feel impacted and moved by it. There were just certain things that I didn't particularly love about the way the story was handled, and it's not something that I would ever revisit. All in all, I just don't think I'll be reaching for another Colleen Hoover. Yeah, I wish I had more to say, but honestly, because I've been slumpy, this was definitely more of a brain off binge read experience, and so I'm having trouble retroactively putting my finger on everything that I didn't enjoy about it, but 3 stars feels fitting. I am very curious about the movie. So number 1 done. Now I am actually gonna be traveling for work tomorrow. I'm gonna be on a plane and or in an airport for like 9 hours, I think, total, and then I'm gonna be in a hotel room by myself. I'm gonna have a lot of free time basically. So for the second step of this getting out of a reading slump, which we're already on a great upward swing after book number 1, I wanted to do the next book in a series. The one that feels more bingeable would be All In, which is the next book in the Natural series. However, one that's on my TBR and that will finish out a series that I've been reading since last year is As Good As Dead. I think I'm gonna go with this one. I think of the 3, this is the one I will like the best. At least that's what I hope based on what I've heard about it. And I think it'll be quick. I think it'll be bingeable. I think I'll have a fun time with it. So I'm gonna bring this one. And then Another Attack number 3 was going to be buying a new book and then reading it immediately. But given that I might be like in a hotel room when I finish book number 2, I need to have something else with me. I actually bought the Guncle very recently, I think a couple weeks ago at this point, and I wanted to start it right away, but I was slumping. But this is definitely very high priority for me right now. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and bring this, and then depending on how things play out, like if I end up at a bookstore, who knows what'll happen there, but if not, I might start the Guncle because I'm very excited about this. I also will have my Kindle with me, so if I end up not being in the mood for the Guncle when I finish As Good As Dead, maybe I will do something and read it on my Kindle. But I kind of don't want to do that because I'm working on whittling down my physical TBR. It just keeps going up. So that's the plan as of right now. I will do my best to update you as I start reading As Good as Dead, which I don't think I even said is about a teenage true crime detective girly that gets herself wrapped up in a couple of real life active cases. And this one is supposed to be the darkest and most intense of the three. So obviously can't say much about what has transpired in the first two books, but I will do my best to fill you in as I read this. And yeah, I'm excited. I think this will be a fun, quick read. So another direct attack on the slump. We love it. I just realized I don't think I've ever actually said what I do for work or explained why I sometimes travel. I'm a post-production assistant, and so sometimes my company will fly me to different states or different countries to pick up footage from the shows we have filming in various places. And tomorrow I'll be in Florida, which will be fun just for the night, but I'm actually being put up at like a resort type situation. I'm assuming just because that's where most of production is staying, but I might, assuming it's not raining, capitalize on the pool or the beach. Who knows? I'll be in Florida. So just wanted to explain if you were like, why is she randomly in Florida for literally one night? That's why. Anyways, I'm taking these two and my Kindle, and I will update you when I have updates. Okay. And clearly I'm in a hotel. I'm actually about to leave. I didn't film anything when I got in last night. So since the last time I talked to the camera, I started and finished As Good as Dead. I wish that I hadn't read this whole thing on the plane because I wish I could have recorded my reactions for you guys, but there was a relatively attractive individual sitting next to me on the plane and I couldn't do it. I couldn't pull out my phone. I wasn't equipped, okay? I couldn't do it. This is so different, at least in my opinion, to the first two books in this series. Like, not only vibes wise, but then something happens in this one where, well, first of all, it's broken up into a part 1 and part 2. At the beginning of part 1, obviously, this is the third book in a series, okay? Our girl Pip has been through some stuff, she's seen some stuff, and she's kind of in the trenches emotionally, like definitely dealing with some like PTSD type symptoms and just really not doing well. And I kind of sometimes struggle with books that have our characters in the trenches like that. It depends on how it's handled and how long they're in the trenches, etc, etc. Obviously, very important thing to discuss in relation to a high school girl enduring a lot of crazy things like she does. But I wasn't 100% sure how I was gonna feel about everything that was playing out in the beginning. And then towards the end of part 1, something crazy happens and I was locked in, okay? I was like, wow. I literally texted Maddie because I know this was on her TBR for August, and I also know that both of us feel similarly about the first two books where we like them, but we don't love them. And I was like, wait, this is actually really good. I'm really enjoying myself. It's kind of crazy. But I did say, like, I don't know though. I'm kind of feeling like it could crash and burn, especially because I was having those feelings about midway through and I was like, where are we gonna go from here? Part 2 goes crazy. Okay, part two takes a bit of a turn that I personally was not anticipating. And actually, I realized, like, as I was reading it, I remember watching a reading vlog, I'm pretty sure, of Sarah Caroli reading this and saying the same thing. Like, she didn't know how she was feeling about the direction the book ended up going. And at the time I was like, what does that mean? I'm doing that to you now. I, like, genuinely 15 minutes after I texted Maddie, wait, this is so good, I texted her and said, oh, well, things have taken a turn. One thing I will say, I respect that Holly Jackson took the swing. Okay, she took the swing and she really swung for the fences. Definitely feels different than the first two books. Definitely darker, definitely a little more intense, thematically very different. And I will say one of the top reviews I saw on Goodreads was that this book felt the least Pip. Even though I'm not, like, as in the series, like, locked in with the characters, invested, I can feel it too. Like, I felt it too. She felt different in this. And again, obviously she was in the trenches, she was going through stuff. She's a different person than she was at the beginning, obviously. But the things that she does in this book and the way it plays out, I just was not expecting. And I don't know where I land rating wise. I have no idea. It's interesting because I'm pretty sure, like, I was feeling like 4+ stars towards the end of part 1, and then I just think I got really thrown for a loop, and so I don't really know how I'm feeling at this exact moment in time. I've even sat with it for a night and I still don't know. I think I would probably land somewhere like 3.5. I don't know. I'll probably change it a million times as I always do with rating. I'm actually genuinely considering not rating things on Goodreads anymore and just, like, giving a general review because I always want to change the star rating that I give like within 15 minutes usually of rating something on Goodreads. So I don't know. I think 3.5. Obviously I'm going to continue to think on it, or if I don't, that's also an indicator of how I felt about it ultimately. Just not what I was expecting, kind of in a good way, kind of in a I don't know what just happened kind of way. I feel like I'm being really dramatic about this. It was different than what I was expecting. So again, this was like perfect recipe for a slumpy time. Reading on a plane is so ideal to just binge something. And again, just this whole thing on the plane yesterday. I feel really excited to pick up another book. So honestly, I can end the video here because I don't feel slumpy at all anymore in terms of wanting to read. But I promised you 3 tactics, so I'm gonna go with the third one, which is buy a book and read it immediately. However, I do have to leave for the airport immediately and I won't get back home until 4:30. I have the Guncle, like I told you guys, I brought the Guncle, and I have my Kindle, and I haven't decided what I'm gonna do. And unfortunately, I can't really talk to you guys once I'm at the airport because, as we can clearly tell, given that I gave you no updates on this, I can't. I can't speak to the camera in front of other people, especially at an airport where then I might have to sit next to one of them on the plane. So I'm leaning towards the Guncle, even though that's not exactly following the rule because I didn't buy it right this second, but I did buy it within the last couple weeks. So I think it counts for like being like a priority. Oh, I bought this because I'm excited to read it kind of read for tactic number 3. So I'm leaning towards the Guncle. Also, I just love reading a paperback and it's a small, quick read. So I really think I might do it. Or maybe I'll just pick something on my Kindle, download something at the airport and do that. Who knows? But anyways, book number 2 done. I have to finish packing up my stuff and head to the airport, and I will talk to you guys as soon as I can. Okay, talk to you in a little. Clearly different day. I'm in relatively the same shape appearance wise because I just spent like I spent the early afternoon shopping with my roommate because he is doing wardrobe for a project, and so we had to go to a mall or two, so that was exhausting. And then I spent like an hour and a half, well, I went to the grocery store, and then I spent like an hour and a half or 2 hours cleaning my apartment. But with that being said, now I am drained and I think I might take a break from doing productive things and read. I'm on page 228 of the Guncle, so I am in the home stretch. I'm almost done. I am eating this up. I'm loving it so much. I've already teared up. I love every character. I don't remember if I said explicitly what this is about or not, but it's about a man named Patrick whose best friend and sister-in-law passes away and leaves behind her 2 children. And then Patrick finds out that his brother actually needs to do a stint in rehab, and his brother asks him to basically take care of the kids while he's in rehab. It's so cute. It's really, really sweet. Patrick has been like struggling for a while, and he needed kind of like, he needed a push. He needed a push to get back on his feet, and the 2 kids in this are exactly what he needed. It's his niece Maisie, who I think is 10, somewhere in there, and his nephew Grant, who's 6. They're just really, really cute. They're like pushing him to live his life again. It's really cute. This is another super bingeable one that has made me feel like I love reading again. So once again, the slump, I really feel the slump has been cured. Sometimes all you need is something that's on your priority reading list. Who'd have thunk? Who would have thought? So with that being said, I will give you more complete thoughts when I'm done. I'm literally looking like a founding father right now, so I don't want to be on camera for that much longer. Just wanted to give a little update because I know I didn't say anything obviously on the plane. Like I said, I have some time. I'm gonna read for a bit and then I will come back to you with more thoughts when I have them. Okay. Patrick's relationship with Maisie and Grant's mom, Sarah, his best friend that passed away, we get like various flashbacks throughout, just like little glimpses into what their friendship was like. And there's such small snippets. And up to this point, I can't remember if there have been any that like really hit for me yet, but the one that I'm reading right now that's on page 229, Patrick experienced something devastating a while back at this point in time, and we're kind of getting to see like how Sarah showed up for him at that time. And I just love when platonic love is highlighted and done so well in a book. I don't know, but it's really sweet and really profound sometimes, and I love when it's in books. So Oh my gosh. I just got a text update from Maddie, my friend Maddie, who picked up As Good as Dead after I finished it because I texted her as I was reading it and she just finished it, and I don't think that she liked it based on this text. Oh, that's good. That's really good. Currently experiencing the entire range of human emotion. Finished the Guncle. I was sobbing, okay? I was crying in my office. My office, it does have a window to the outside world for anyone that walks by, so yeah, I love that. I love that for me. I loved this. I can't decide. I'm somewhere between 4.5 and 5 stars because of how much I truly just loved this reading experience. I'm such a sucker for goofy, over the top, silly, feel good, emotional, deep fiction. Like, I fear I'm going to eat up well done feel good fiction every time. This made me feel the same way that House in the Cerulean Sea did, which makes sense because a lot of the general themes are the same. Just this one exists without the magical realism and a little more of my humor, which I thought was really fun. I really like Steven Rowley's voice. I found myself like laughing out loud multiple times. I also just love all of the characters so much. I feel like I have to give it 5 stars. I feel like I have to. Like, it's one of those things where obviously we'll see how it sticks with me long term and if I still reflect on it and come back to it as a book that I adore like long term in my memory. 100% that's a 5-star read. Sometimes I give books 5 stars and then I never think about them again, and that's not accurate. But I think I'll be thinking about this one for a long time. It was really sweet. I love the exploration of like sibling dynamics, which is always interesting to me as somebody that does not have a sibling. I did really like the way that Patrick's relationship with Sarah was handled, in the sense that even though she passed away, Sarah is Maisie and Grant's mom, even though she passed away, she was still such a big part of the book, both just like in her children and Patrick's memory, but also like we would get like flashbacks of the two of them, Patrick and Sarah, throughout their lives, just like moments that stood out in Patrick's mind. And it was also super interesting because it was kind of a reflection on the fact that he was still grieving for her, even though maybe towards the end of her life they weren't really real friends anymore, just because they'd kind of grown apart. He'd been isolating himself, she married his brother, and she had a whole separate life. And so that part was really interesting and nuanced as well. And I don't know, it was so good. Also, I loved the Palm Springs atmosphere. Like, this is one of those books where the setting felt like its own character, and it was just so fun. It was really fun, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. So 5 stars. 5 stars, and I think I can officially say that the reading slump has ended. So thank you everyone. Thank you everyone so much for accompanying me on this journey. It was needed, okay? It was needed. So before I close out the vlog, let's just do a little recap really quick of the other 2 books that we got to in this video. We have It Ends With Us, which I actually saw the movie last night, so I have a few more thoughts. I don't remember if I said anything specifically about how I felt about the way that this handles the abuse storylines, but I have seen, like, I've been reading some reviews, and I saw the movie obviously and saw reviews for the movie and all of that kind of stuff. And I will say, despite whatever my qualms were with this book, and despite the fact that I like didn't love the writing, I will say I've seen a lot of people saying that it glorifies abuse, and I don't think that's correct at all. I think especially in the movie it does a good job of focusing on why it's so hard for people in these situations to leave, because it's not always as clear-cut and cut and dry as we want it to be when we're looking at it from the outside. I don't know, I think what it boils down to maybe is the voice of the story isn't for me. I found a lot of the content and dialogue in here cringy and unrealistic, and so it was also hard to watch in movie form, like watching actual people say it, and it kind of solidified for me how I felt about the writing style of the book. I also will say I saw this in a theater full of people, half of which were sobbing and half of which were laughing at genuinely everything. So I think that I was also seeing it as ridiculous. Overall, I wish I could be more well-spoken on this, but I think that's what it boils down to. Is this just, I'm not the target audience for this as a reader. Love Justin Baldoni. He wanted to adapt this because of the subject matter and because he wanted to reach the potential Lily Blooms of the world. I love that for him. Just, this wasn't for me. Yeah, 2.5 or 3 stars. Clearly, I'm just not gonna be able to articulate anything about this book, so yeah. Okay, and then obviously second, I read As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. I have reflected further on this, and I think I'm gonna settle on 3 stars. It just, again, pivots in a way that I wasn't expecting. It feels a little ridiculous and goofy, and just unlike the rest of the series. I respect Holly Jackson for taking the swing. It just didn't 100% work for me. I do understand why people might like the swing and why people might like where the story goes. I just personally was very caught off guard, and then spent the entire back half being entertained. I'm not saying I wasn't entertained or that it was badly written or anything. I just was mostly powering through to the end because I was just in a state of disbelief. I think that in and of itself lowers the rating for me a bit, because even though I was still entertained, I wouldn't necessarily say that I was enjoying myself because I was not obsessed with how the story was playing out, if that makes any sense. Also, Pip was being ridiculous, I fear. I don't even know if I said this. I know I said that this is the least Pip book. She was being ridiculous. The end is ridiculous to me. Like the very end, like the very last choice she makes. And it kind of was just like the nail in the coffin, I think. So not to rehash this again, but 3 stars. So maybe if we're putting 2 books next to each other that are similar in rating, like maybe this would be 3, maybe this would be 2.5. Something you should never ask me to do is rate a book. I am genuinely so indecisive, so. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our video. Thank you so much for accompanying me as I got out of a slump. I had an overall very entertaining time. That's really all I have to say. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!